Yes, mate, you good?
You got the fresh trim, ish.
Mate, now look, it's dead for that, mate.
Alright, now put the hat back on. Bro, how you been, man?
Yeah, really good, mate. Just it feels like Groundhog Day, innit? Like every day is the same, but it's just doing what you can in it. You've make the most of it and just carry on, just getting ready for next year, if anything, because obviously this summer is kind of a write-off, innit?
2020 is done, innit?
Yeah, mate. So it's just getting ready for next year, really.
What's your take on the whole Corona situation? What's your take on that?
Well, obviously, it is gutting, like, because when you've got such a big year planned or stuff like that, and to have it all just stopped immediately, like, there's nothing. Dapper, what the hell, man? Did you see what Dapper just put?
No, what do you say?
Get your dick out, but but yeah, mate, I think it's just everyone's in the same boat though. Do you know what I mean? So. We've all got to stick together now. We've all got to do our part to help out, because obviously NHS and all the teachers, even the bin men, do you know what I mean, still doing what they do. Got to just respect them. And when you see people now going to the beaches, do you know what I mean? It angers me, because it's like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, you are social distancing, but it doesn't help. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not hard. We've stayed in for this long. Just stay in.
What's it been like 3.5 months, man? It's long. You know what? It's long, but
like, the sooner it's all done. So it's just, it's sucking up and just getting on with it.
Did you think you were kind of going in for a short haul, or did you think it was actually going to be a long thing?
Well, I thought, because when you see all start, it was like, oh, it'll be over in 3 weeks. You think, oh, yeah, this will be over quite soon. But when you look at other countries and what they've gone through, like, it was never going to be a short thing. And obviously the way we've gone about it, with not really having a full lockdown, kind of just going 50-50, like, it made it 10 times worse.
You know what? It's just, no one even knows what's going to happen. Like, I hope clubbing comes back this year, but I don't think so.
Nah, I think because the thing is, like pubs and clubs, they're going to be the last thing to open, which, it's the thing with us DJs, we need more than anything. But like, it's not happening this year. Not a chance. Like,
when I was speaking to Nathan Dorr, he was saying that, when is there going to ever be like 80,000 people in a stadium? When is that ever going to happen? It's not going to happen for ages.
Nah, and that's the thing, because even if like clubs and stuff like that do open, people will be wary, because they'll be like, well, I want to go, but I don't know if it's going to be completely safe. So even if they do open, I even reckon clubs won't be full capacity for a long time, just for people's sake. I don't know if I can still trust it, because you don't know. Because if one person goes in there and they've got a cough, do you know what I mean? Like, the whole club's screwed if they've got it. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very long time.
The questions have already started, man. I haven't even got into it, man. But, so, for people who don't know what's going on, so I've been doing this for 6 weeks, interviewing DJs around the country, artists. I've done American DJs now. I've been very, very fortunate to do that. So it's been going well. And then, now I've got Jordan. So it's good, man. I appreciate it. Huh? What did you say?
All goes downhill.
Now it'll be an interesting one, bro. It'll be interesting. But, like, talk us through, what's been the stages for you? Like, why reality TV first? How did that even start?
Well, the thing for me, Makesy, was like, I never actually ever wanted to get into reality TV, but I was working in Magaluf for a little karaoke bar called the Three Lions. Don't know if anyone's been there, they know it. It's a shithole, but I loved it. But I was like, I was the PR manager there, so I was obviously, I'd get the punters in. And then one day I had a Facebook message, and someone said, oh, we're starting a show about Magaluf, can we give you a call? So I went, yeah, well, I'll give them a call. Like, they spoke to me for an hour, asking loads of questions about everything. And then they went, right, if we like you, we'll go for Skype. So then had a Skype interview. They went, right, okay, if we like you, we'll let you know. There's one more stage. So now I was working one night at my bar, and then a group of 30 people come towards the bar, got them in after about half hour persuade, and then they were all just sat on my terrace drinking one beer. And I went to mate, I was like, well, weird, like, what are these guys doing? Why are they just staring at me? And then about an hour later, guy comes over, shakes my hand, and he's like, by the way, mate, that was your final interview for the Magaluf Weekender. We wanted to see you in your natural environment, see you when chatting shit in your interviews. You got the part. If you want it, quit your job, start filming in 3 days. I was like, what the fuck? So, obviously, so for me, like, reality TV was something I'd never really ever wanted to do. And back then, like, I think, what is it now, 7 years ago, you only really had Towie, Made in Chelsea, Jersey, and Jordan. So it wasn't even like a big thing like it is today. So I just did it because I thought, you know what, it'll be a bit of banter. And then if it goes well, it goes well. And then obviously the show, you know, when a show starts, you never know if it's going to go well. And I think we had I think we peaked on the first series, like 800,000 viewers, and they wanted 350 for another series. And they, you know, it just went on and it's just grown more and more and more. So now, and for some reason, they won't get rid of me. They just keep me on the show. So for me, I don't know what.
You're stuck there.
I know. So for me, it was something that, you know, right place, right time. If I hadn't been working in Magaluf, like if I wasn't, you know, as real as I was, and I wouldn't have got it. And that's just, yeah. So for me, it was not something I wanted to do. I wanted to do dentistry in university, believe it or not. So something completely different. But yeah, it just fell onto me and I just got lucky.
So was there a lot of issues, like family issues with that? Like, were your family supportive of it, or were they like, no, I don't like you going into reality TV?
So I did my own interviews and filmed it, and I didn't even tell my family because I was like, if my mum knows, she will kill me.
My mum was like, if I ever see you on Love Island, I will throw the TV away. I was like,
So that's what it was, mate. So I remember I did it, and then the advert come on TV, and my mum was watching it. She was like, is that you on a TV screen? I was like, well, yeah, funny enough, I've just filmed a TV show. I haven't told you because I know you would have said no. So then that's how it was, basically. But she loves it now. She doesn't care. She loves it. So, yeah.
So what's been the highlights for you in the TV show? Which ones have you enjoyed? What's been happening?
Well, like with our beef weekend, I love it because you know what I mean. Like we're in our beef, we're taking people out, giving them a good time.
Yeah.
As we're X on the Beach, completely different story. Like X on the Beach is like it's just a living nightmare. Do you know what I mean? Because it's bad enough when you're in a nightclub with your ex, let alone when you're living, sharing a bed with your ex, and there's all these people there. Just But Celebrity Big Brother as well. I did that. That was fun, but boring. You're in that house. You've got no phone, no TVs, and like with the people you're there with, like once you spoke about everything you need to speak about. It's like, right, now what do we do? You're not really allowed to drink in there either. You get 2 drinks a night. So for me, Big Brother was what I'd always wanted to do, you know what I mean? But then to have done it, I was like, this is actually pretty boring. But obviously, our beef, do you know what I mean? We're always going out every night. We're having fun. So our beef weekend is my favourite show, and it always will be.
Is it kind of like a tight community in those kind of reality TV shows? Like, do you find that it's you got like a family in there, basically?
Yeah, well, with the shows, see, obviously, we all, because we're living together for a month, do you know what I mean? So we do become really close. And then the thing is that when you go to like loads of events, you meet other reality TV stars, like you all know what each other's doing. So like you'll all get along, do you know what I mean? Like you all say hello, like you exchange numbers, you might go on a few nights out, but you don't become like best mates. But like if you saw them or they were in your town, oh, go on, let's go grab a drink. But like the people on your show with you, you do become like a weird incestuous family, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Because you're all kissed each other, you've all slept with each other, so it's kind of a weird family. Do you know what I mean? So, but
did you never get nervous about doing that sort of things on TV?
Well, like obviously, when I was a lot younger, do you know what I mean? Like when I first started, I was only 19 when I started, and obviously back when reality TV wasn't as big as it was today, you don't know what it's going to go like or how it's going to turn out. So for me, it was just like I just rolled with it, and I was like, you know what? If people like me for me, then obviously there's nothing more I can do. I wasn't going to be fake. I wasn't going to be something I wasn't. And I think that's why the show's kept me on so long, because obviously, you know, you get a number of people come on it who like, they try and make out like they're the best and bigger than everyone else. But the thing about Beef Weekend is that it's not about being better. It's about helping each other. So if you try and think you're better than someone and, you know, try and put them down, then they'll just cut you straight away. So it's a weird one, but it's one of those things where, do you know what I mean? You've got to be real. You've got to be yourself, or you ain't survive in the industry.
Is there like a good like what's the word I'm looking for? So you know, people out of Love Island, they get a lot of help coming out. Is there good help after coming out of these shows?
Yes, you've got so you get like your own personal psychologist and stuff like that. So, and he's obviously on the phone 24/7. So if you've got any issues or you're worried about anything, you can give him a call. It's all private, confidential, and you know they always check up on us, like the producers and like even like the crew, like you, because we obviously film with them for a month, and I've done it as long as I have. Like some of them are good mates now.
Oh, sorry, bro. You just gone. Right, I don't know if that's his Wi-Fi or if that's mine. Let me know. Where you go? Yeah, there you go. Right.
Shout out Paul K, my boy. Shout out Paul K. Love you, bro.
Paul K. Okay, cool. It's not me. It was you. Cool. But yeah, so like, how's this kind of support? Is it good? Like, how do you kind of, and also how do you deal with like the social media side of things as well?
Oh, bro, see, social media, see, this is why it is the worst thing ever, because like the thing is, doing what we do, like we are still real people. Do you know what I mean? We're no different to any other person. It's just what we just on TV for a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So we don't
Mm,
think we're special. We don't think we're bigger than anyone. But then when you get hundreds and hundreds of abusive comments as you do, like sometimes people think it's a joke. They'll put something up, they'll abuse you, they'll think it's a joke. When you got 50 other people saying the same thing, it can get to you. But I know for some people as well, they find it a lot hard to take on because you've got to have quite thick skin. Because even if you had 1,000 nice comments and 5 bad ones, you're only going to focus on the 5 bad ones.
definitely.
So it's an industry where, you know, you've got to have thick skin. You've got to just, you know, ignore the abuse. But we're all going to get it. It doesn't mean we deserve it, but we all get it. And you just got to unfortunately, you just got to put up with it. You know, there's nothing you can do.
Like in any kind of reality TV show, there's always going to be people hating. That's the thing. There's always going to be that side of things.
Yeah.
So
1,000,000%.
coming out of reality TV, so how did you even get into DJing, and why even DJing, or why even into music?
Well, the thing is, like, I've always been into my music. Do you know what I mean? Since I was like, 18 when I started going abroad and stuff like that. And it's a guy some of you might know him, might not. A guy called JSGtheDJ, and I was doing meet and greets in Bulgaria, Sunny Beach, and he was DJing one night, and I was just there, and I was with him, and I was like, "Oh, bro, can you play this track? Can you play this track?" Obviously, you know, only once or two, because I know what these like when people ask you. But obviously, my favorite songs, obviously, crowd loved them, and I was like, "Do you know what? I would love to be doing that."
Yeah.
So, because obviously, do meet and greets, yeah, they're fun in clubs, but they get boring. Do you know what I mean? Because you're just there drinking. So for me, I was like, I want to do something more now. So obviously, being a reality TV star, going into DJing, you are gonna get your hate, and I got it in the thousands. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't jump straight into it. So obviously, I got my set of decks. Obviously, started doing learning, teaching myself and stuff like that. So I started DJing before a lot more people knew about it. Like, learning to DJ, sorry. So obviously, I started learning probably because I thought I'm not going to just go, I've got some decks, book me. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to know what I was doing. So yeah, so I've been doing it, learning about 4 years, but actually putting myself out there for about 3 years now.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, the DJ community is a quite tight community. For people who don't know, like, all kind of support each other. So how was the support? Like, I know you didn't get the best support at the start. So like, how was it that a lot of DJs just didn't take you seriously? Like, was it because obviously you come out of reality TV, you got X amount of followers, it's easier to get a gig?
Well, because I think that's what it is, mate. Because I think a lot of, well, I'm not going to name names, but some big DJs did just fully go in on me. They were tweeting about me and stuff like that. Because obviously, coming from reality TV and going in, like, all of a sudden you say you're a DJ, they just think, oh, look, he's dried up work. He can't get any work. So he's thinking, what can I do to make money? And the thing for me is, like, they probably assume that I would just go there and I'd press play. I have a pre-made set, press play. So, you know, when I was getting loads of abuse, and it's like, people don't actually know what I'm like when I DJ. So obviously when I was, you know, and the people think as well, as all other DJs think, coming from reality TV, because you're now a DJ, you'll get gigs easy. It is so much harder to get gigs coming from reality TV because people don't know your music. They don't know what you're about. They don't think you DJ properly. So obviously, the first 6 months I was DJing, I was doing 50% of my gigs for free, or for like pay for my travel and my hotel. Because for me, it was just, you know, trying to get myself out there, get into the right clubs. And the funny thing was, a lot of gigs would book me and they didn't even know what I would play. And they'd be like, so like an R&B club would book me and I'd be like, right, I don't play R&B. And they're like, oh, we thought you just played charts. But like, I don't even play chart stuff. I play tech house or house. You know what I mean? So that sort of stuff. So that was annoying for me because obviously I'd be going to clubs and I'd be like, right, okay, well, this ain't going to go down well. Do you know what I mean? When you've got a club who love R&B and then there's me going on dropping house music and stuff like that. But obviously for me, it was that I'm not going to just give the clubs what they want. I'm going to play what I want to play and establish myself for what I want to do.
So why house music for you? Why is that your main genre?
For me, see, because obviously since going abroad, like Ibiza or stuff like that, like for me, like house music, for me, I love it. Like, especially, it makes me happy. It gets me in a mood. And I just, you know, like, because R&B, don't get me wrong, I like it, but it wouldn't suit me. If I was to become an R&B DJ, it wouldn't look right because I don't really know too much about R&B. It's just, you know, you know, like, or other DJs, you know what I mean? So for me, if I was to go and try and become an R&B DJ, it would never work out. Like, you've got to, you know, I had to do DJ music that I really loved and I was passionate about and that I know my shit about, because otherwise it would have just flopped. So for me, that's why I went down that road instead of just being this DJ, because a lot of big DJs, well, they think, oh, Jordan just plays, you know, commercial radio shit that, you know, people will hear. I don't. I play stuff like, you know, people, because the best thing for me is when you go to a club and you have people DM you going, oh, bro, what was this track? What was that track? Because tracks that people have never heard of, and then you introduce them to it, for me, is amazing.
Definitely. What's been the highlight for you in your DJ career?
Well, this is a mad one, but for me, I got a message, and it was I was DJing in South Africa, and it was to warm up for Khalees. Okay. And I was like, when I saw it, I was like, fucking Khalees, like, fuck me, she's huge. You know what I mean? So to get an opportunity, like, obviously, I know I've only been doing it, you know, a few years. Don't get me wrong. So to get given an opportunity like that, I know I was lucky to even get given something like that. But obviously, when I flew there, and I was like, you know, she's huge, and I was nervous as fuck when I went to bed, because I thought she's probably going to be so rude, like she won't care who I am. But so we went to this, well, she was in, like, we had the villas next door to each other, and she's like, oh, come round, and like the guy who was running it was like, come meet Khalees, and I was like, right, okay, I was nervous. But mate, she started popping the champagne. She was like asking me about all my life and stuff like that, because she was interested in me. It was nice, do you know what I mean, that she actually, as big as a superstar she is, to actually have time and ask me the real questions.
Were you like a little fanboy? Or were you kind of had to stay humble? Were you like...
Mate, I was so tempted to go, can I have a milkshake? I was like, oh, should we get some milkshake? Before I can, because he's probably heard that 1,000 times, do you know what I mean? Yeah, mate, but that for me, that's like the biggest opportunity I've ever had. And do you know what I mean? Just to see her perform live and do her thing to all the people that were there, it was just incredible as well.
So what kind of makes your set unique? I know it's a house point, but what is it about that? What is it about your kind of way of mixing, or is it you hosting, or is it you as a person? What is it?
Yeah, well, obviously, but I'd say, like, with me as a person, see, it's like one is like the energy I bring. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm I've got ADHD. I'm bouncing around when I'm in the box. I sweat so much that I have to change my top as soon as I'm finished because I'm sweating. But things to me as well, like a lot of house and like techie tracks, you know, they're all like 8-9 minutes long. A lot of them. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's like I'll try and mix it up every minute and a half, and then I'll drop loads of funky stuff in there. So people all of a sudden you'll be hearing this dirty beat, and then all of a sudden you'll just, you know, have a massive throwback classic. Everyone's like, oh my God, I love these words. You know what I mean? So it's about constantly changing it for me and keeping it busy, because obviously I could go and do a set for an hour and play 8-9 tracks, but I always try and get like 40 tracks in there over that hour if I can. Do you know what I mean? Say 30 to 40 in that hour, just so, because a lot of house tech DJs, like, do you know what I mean? They won't play that many tracks because they're so long. But for me, it's like I'm always changing it up, keeping the crowd into it and stuff like that.
What's your take on like the scenes in the moment in house? Like, what do you think it's properly striving at the moment, or do you think it's kind of taking a turn? Or
yeah, well, I'd say in the last few years especially, I think house music now, because obviously R&B used to be the main thing. Like all UK clubs, they just be playing R&B. But I think now, like, house music now is becoming just as popular. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, so when I started DJing a few years ago, like I would struggle to get gigs because UK clubs, they didn't play that music, or they would have, do you know what I mean? They wouldn't want to really play it. Do you know what I mean? So now I think a lot more clubs are doing it, and I think festivals, being now there's so many festivals everywhere, I think that's really helped the house scene, because, do you know what I mean, if you go to a festival, majority of the festivals are house festivals. So I think people have got into more like places like Ibiza and stuff like that. Like, and I think the young generation, I think they are all getting into house music a lot more, and obviously I love it. And I think as well, now you look at all these virtual festivals as well, like Defected as well, what they're doing when they have a full Friday and stuff like that. Like, I think house music now is just, it's becoming a lot more popular, and I'm so glad.
So what's the aim for you in the next 5 years? Where do you want to be with DJing? What's your plans?
Yeah, so I've started getting into obviously the production side of things now, because obviously as a DJ, there's only so much you can do, and obviously especially doing house, do you know what I mean? You've got to start producing your stuff. So I've started getting into house. I've got my new track drop. My next release dropping next Friday, which is like a house version of obviously Mario Let Me Love You. So it's just getting into that now, and obviously just because obviously the next 5 years, obviously this year's a write-off, but you know, I want to be going all over the world, because I've started touring Australia now twice a year, which I love. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But going to like other places as well.
So with the other countries, what other countries do you want to tour?
America, innit? Everybody wants to go to America, I think, because that's something. I mean, America's, it's a place that's just, it's a unique America, and there's nowhere like America. So I think, you know, once I got Australia in the bag a few times, I was like, Australia is just the best place in the world, by the way. If any Australians watching, you guys are the fucking best, just so you all know. But yeah, for me, it'd be like, you know, it would be somewhere like America or something like that.
Do you think you could run your own events and stuff like that?
Well, I thought about that, see, but I thought I don't want to run before I can walk. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
want to, you know, I want to get everything properly done before I start doing things half-hearted, because I think, you know, unless it's, you know, it's going to be a success, and you're going to, you know, you've got something that's going to be 100%. People are going to love it. It's not going to fault. It's going to be amazing. I want to do something, because obviously being like who I am, if any little slight thing goes wrong, it is going to get annihilated everywhere.
Yeah. And how careful do you have to be on social media now? Do you have to be very careful with like what you post and what you say and stuff like that when you've got a following?
That's the thing, but yeah, because on social media, see, because I've been an influencer, like, you've always got to be careful what you say, and it's just common sense, really, because you can have an opinion, but it's when you're, you know, you're fully abusing someone, or just, you know, it's just, you've got to, you know, yeah, it's just, you've got to be sensible and just not take things too far and stuff for that. But, you know, luckily, I know I've been doing this 8 years. I'm not fucked up yet, so I must be doing something right.
You're still breathing. You're still breathing, bro. So we've got these new reality TV shows coming in, like, you know, like Too Hot to Handle, those kind of shows coming in. Do you think you could run your own reality TV show, or do you want to get onto another one like Love Island or something like that, or stick to the ones you're in?
Well,
or are you kind of done?
Well, the thing is, obviously, the jungle is the big aim for any reality TV star. That's like the creme de la creme. If you get on the jungle, you've made it. But obviously, the funny thing is, obviously, because I've done a Beef Weekender for so long, sometimes I feel like a bit of a producer, because I feel like I know exactly what comes next, what needs to be done, and stuff like that. So obviously, I would love to get into that sort of side of it. But, you know, I don't want to put too many eggs in too many, because that's why people go, why don't you do a clothing brand? Why don't you do this? But for me, it's like, I don't want to be doing too many things, because for me, it's like, DJing's going well now. I'm focusing on that, because, you know, there's no point just me going, right, I can try this, I can try this. I want to focus on just the DJing, the producing, and getting that perfected before trying to do other things.
What's the next kind of steps for you? Like, this first thing you're going to do coming out of quarantine with DJ, and what's the step?
Well, the thing is, see, I've got a tour of November in Australia, so hopefully by this time, well, in November, it might all be blown over. Obviously, I think Freshers at the minute, I think Freshers is not going to happen in the UK in September. I would like to think it would, but I don't think it will. And then, yeah, just go from there, really. I know I'm DJing Fire in the Dam for, that's Charlie
I saw.
Yeah, and I've got Fire in the Snow in January as well. So I've got those two big gigs lined up as well. And obviously, it's just about, we're going to be about networking there. Do you know what I mean? Because there'll be a lot of big people there, and it's about getting in with them, socializing, and just learning what you can. Obviously, you know, every artist is different. You can learn so much from some different people. So it's just about listening, taking on board, and trying to progress with whatever you can then.
Are those festivals going to still go ahead? Do you think there's going to be no problem with that?
Yeah, well, the good thing what Charlie Sloth has done, see, with the Fire in the Dam November, he said if it is cancelled, everybody will get a full refund. Do you know what I mean? Which is really good. So it's not like he's gone, look, well, it's your money. If it doesn't go ahead, you can get your money back. And I think for Charlie to do that, do you know what I mean? Like, yes, you know, it'll be a big loss for him, but, you know, he's respecting his fans, he's respecting everyone, and it's sold out in 4 minutes. So, you know what I mean? So it's, you know, I'd like to think they will go ahead, because, you know, that is a long way away. But I think it all depends what happens in the next few months, I reckon.
So the thing is with DJing, right? So there's obviously a lot of ups and a lot of downs. What's been like the worst kind of moments for you, like during a set, or like getting the gigs?
Yeah, well, the worst thing for me was obviously when I did my first ever gig, one of my first ones, and obviously it was a pool party in Spain. I put it online, and obviously, you know, the crowd wasn't huge. Do you know what I mean? There was, you know, 100 people there, if anything, and I just got thousands of abusive comments, and people going, oh, like, why the fuck have you started DJing? Why are you doing? Do you know what I mean? And for me, it was like, I was shocked, because I was like, the thing is, like, you know, as a DJ, when everyone starts out, you're not going to have thousands of people at your gigs. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it was like one of my first gigs, and obviously you've got big names slating me, and I'm thinking, like, what is the need? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm trying something new. I'm trying to see if it works out. If it works out, it works out. And that for me has been obviously some of the lowest points, because obviously it's just the amount you get, and, you know, other DJs wouldn't get it, because you're a reality TV star, you get the abuse. That's the thing. And the thing is then as well, like, the highlights would be when I got my big Australia tour, and that's why I had to call it, because obviously people were saying at the start, oh, Jordan will never get any gigs, which is why then my Australia tour, I called it Jordan can't get no gigs tour, just to rub it in their face a little bit. Do you know what I mean? But for me, obviously, getting that big tour in Australia, that's been one of my highest achievements, to obviously be known out there, established out there, and to get all this work out there. So for me, that was probably my highlight. And then obviously, lowest is obviously when I'm starting out, the abusive comments.
Yeah. So I'm going to change this question a bit. Who's the best DJ you've worked with?
Oh, best DJ I've worked with. See, for me, like, I've not really done too much work with DJs, but obviously with mixes and stuff like that, like I've been putting a lot of mixes together, and obviously DJ Blighty, like, he's probably the most well-known DJ on Mixcloud. And obviously when he came to me and he was like, oh, look, let's do a mix together. Like, for him to, want to do a mix with me, for me, I was like, he's the biggest artist on Mixcloud. He has like, over, I don't want to get his stats wrong, but over 160 million or something like that on there, like listens or plays. So if obviously work with him and do a mix with him, for me was pretty unbelievable.
Who in the DJ scene do you look up to? Has it kind of changed when you started to now, or has it kind of stayed the same?
Yeah, well, it's kind of stayed the same. Obviously, like Sonny Fodera, like he's a big one for me. And I think one moment as well was I was in Sankey's in Manchester when it was open. A great place if any of you remember it. But and I got asked to go in the DJ box just with Sonny Fodera because I think obviously he was a bit mad in there. And I remember I was like, because I loved Sonny Fodera at the time, and I was like, because I went to see Sonny Fodera in Sankey's. They were like, do you want to go behind the DJ box? And I was like, what the fuck? I'm in a DJ box with Sonny Fodera. And then he went, oh mate, do you want this sweat towel? That was like a proper fanboy. I was like, fuck me, I've got Sonny Fodera's sweat on this towel. So for me, like Sonny Fodera as well, look up to him loads as well. Just those type of, like, they're probably my two favorite artists out there.
So I don't know if they were here when you said it, but Country City, you haven't performed in but want to.
Yeah, it'd have to be America for me, because obviously I've done a lot of Spanish islands, although I've done Africa, done Australia. So for America, for me, that would be the big one to try and crack.
Someone said, can you talk Welsh? Can you talk Welsh?
Yeah, I'm Welsh. I can see. Right, Bore da Jwn dwi. I don't really know that much Welsh, but un dau tri pedwar saith wyth naw deg. That's 1 to 10 in Welsh.
Right, lovely. So, what's the best club you've DJ'd in?
Oh, see, for me, like I said, going to Australia, like they've got some of the maddest clubs there. And there's a place called, I'd say it's a night called Code, but I can't remember the club name now. But it's just like the lighting system, the sound system, like the layout, and it's just like one big open massive room, and it holds like 5,000 people in there. And for me, like because obviously I didn't know what it was going to be like, and obviously go into a club like that, and it's just like the laser, the smoke, stuff like that. So Australia for me is one of the best clubs probably the best club scene I've been to.
So is your plan to do I'm a Celeb then? Are we going to see that soon?
Yeah, because obviously, I've now obviously left our Beef Weekender because obviously I want to focus on obviously the DJ, and obviously because for me it was like if I stay in reality TV like my show at Beef Weekender, I ain't going to take it seriously. So obviously I've now obviously made the choice. It was like, do I carry on reality TV or do I take the DJ path? Yeah. So it was obviously a gamble of what do I do. So for me it was like obviously, DJ might not work out in the long run, but it's something that I believe will work out, which is why I decided to do it. But obviously if the Jungle came knocking on my door, I ain't going to turn that down because that is a show that I've always wanted to do.
Do you think you can survive it?
Do you know what? I like to think I could, obviously. As long as I win a few stars and got a few meals, I think I'd be all right. But obviously, I think the hunger, I get hungry if I ain't eating. Do you know what I mean? I get very hungry. Yeah. So for me, it's like if I wasn't eating right, then probably I would get a bit touchy, yeah.
What's your take on Love Island? Do you think it should be banned completely, or do you think it's good enough to be like aired on TV?
No, I love Island. Love Island. I mean, like, Love Island for me, I think it shouldn't be stopped because because Love Island is such a big show and everyone does love it and everyone adores it, and every summer everyone's getting into it, and it's more the trolls that need to stop, because the things that have happened with obviously Caroline and obviously Mike and stuff like that, like they would never have happened if it wasn't for people being horrible and trolling them 24/7. And it's more the press as well, because the press media, like especially the newspaper, like they just do not give a fuck. They will write whatever they want. They will say whatever they want, and it's disgusting because these things, like, they affect people. Do you know what I mean? Because all reality TV, they're just real people. So when like you've got the press making up lies, fake stories, and then obviously people then believe them, and like you feel like you can't go anywhere, you can't do nothing. So for me,
I think people kind of forget that we're all the same in that sense.
Yeah,
Like even if you're on TV doesn't mean you're not human. You
no,
know,
exactly. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's
and
like,
it's upsetting to see, but there's always gonna be that. There's always gonna be people like that. That's the thing.
yeah,
Paul K said favorite pre-meal set.
mate. Right, this is weird. This guy Paul, yeah, Paul K. He loves a curry before a meal. Who else? Would you ever have a curry before? He said, would you have a curry?
No.
How did he? He was like, I remember we had a gig. I think it was in Northampton or Nottingham, and he was like, "Well, should we go for a curry before?" I went, "Mate, I can't imagine anything worse than after curry." But it's usually a Nando's. If I have a meal for a gig,
Yeah.
quick and easy, innit?
Is it true that Isabel can outdrink Alfie?
Yes, it is. Right, you must know.
Alright, Alfie, you know what? Alfie's been drinking that orange juice apparently, or mouthwash, isn't it? He's been drinking mouthwash.
Mate, he just literally had 2 drinks and he starts kicking off. Oh, it's just, mate, it's hilarious. He just cannot handle his drink. Alfie, we love you, but you cannot handle your drink, boy.
Alfie, stop drinking mouthwash. Let's see what some people got some questions. Let's see. How are you kind of finding, you know, like a lot during lockdown? Has it been good to be with your partner and like everything like that, or are you kind of getting tired?
No, do you know what? This is always going to be the big test. You know what I mean? So I think if you can't get along in lockdown, then it ain't meant to be. Do you know what I mean? But like the thing, what I'd say, like if I was going to give any advice to people, it would be like try not to be on social media too much and just take up things like, mate, I'm obsessed with gardening now, mate, and cooking. Like just try and do
gardening.
Yeah, mate. I've built fish ponds. I've planted fucking bamboo. I mean, I've done it all in the garden. But for me, it's like make sure you go for walks as well. Like for me, I love an evening walk, like 7 till 9. The sun, especially when the weather's like this. Do you know what I mean? Like sun setting. Like for me, it's just get out, leave your phones, and just talk. Just walk around, talk with each other. Because do you know what I mean? If you spend too much time just staring at Netflix, staring at your phone, like you've just got to embrace being with your loved ones now, and just make the most of it. Do you know what I mean? Like we're all in a situation. It could be a lot worse. So just enjoy life.
What advice and tips would you give to up and coming DJs trying to get into the scene?
Yeah, right. So my tips I'd say, so make sure like you go for a genre where you know it all and you're passionate about. Don't just go for what you think the clubs want, because if you're not passionate about it, then it's you're not really gonna love it, and you're not gonna love what you do, and you're not gonna believe in yourself. So make sure you're always you pick a genre that you want to do and it's suited to you.
Yeah.
Next tip today is, for me, it was like when I started, especially, it was like keep making mixes, get them out there all the time, because you can if you're just constantly putting mixes out there constantly all the time. Like for me, a lot of clubs have seen my mixes and then they'll want to book us, and it's also about the graft. Like if you've got to start off doing gigs for free, like I did, do them for free. Do you know what I mean? If you've got to get in your car and drive 8 hours, or get a coach for 9 hours, which I had to do at one point, like you've got to do it, because it's not easy, especially because DJing's so big now, and there's some people wanting to be a DJ. Like you've got to be able to put the work in, because if you ain't going to put the graft in, like it's not going to fall on the plate for you. Like everyone's got to put the hard work in.
So platforms like Mixcloud and like even with social media, with the help of that, like do you think it's easier or harder for DJs to get themselves out there? Like it could be easier in an extent, but the game is oversaturated. Like there's a DJ everywhere you go now.
Yeah, exactly. I think especially coming from me, like obviously, like being a reality TV star, it's hard because people aren't going to take you seriously. But I think there is loads of DJs everywhere. But I think if you can find something that you can make special about your your sets, or something that's unique to you, then I think you could and especially now it's like time to be creative. Like if you've seen Alfie in here, I know he's watching.
Yeah,
like, he's got creative during lockdown, like with like his videos and stuff like that, and like his little mini mixes. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got to get creative and make yourself stand out, because if you can stand out from a crowd, that's how you'll get the work coming. Because there's like be a DJ, but you've got to have something unique that makes clubs want to go, wow, I need to book him, or I want this guy there.
Would you want to be? What's your take on being a tour DJ for an artist, or a resident DJ and the artist comes down and you DJ for the artist?
Mate, I'd love that, because you know what I mean. For me, it's like if you're it's just all work. Like take what work you can, and to get given big gigs like that. Like if an artist wants you to support him, now I think that's just huge, because he obviously likes your stuff. He trusts you to want to go everywhere with him. So I think, you know what I mean, like if you get work, like for me, I've DJed some of the weirdest places. Do you know what I mean? But for me, work is work, and you never know who's there, who's watching. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could do a set and you might not feel exactly there, but somebody might be, you know, really into something. They might push you on and stuff like that. So for me, I'd say just take all the work you can and do whatever you can.
Definitely. What clubs would you recommend in Magaluf?
Oh, so obviously Magaluf for me, see, I was born and bred Magaluf boy. I worked there for 5 years. But like, you know, bars, I'd say my favourite bars have got to be Alex's, Stereo, Crystals, obviously the Free Lions as well. And I'd say for nightclubs, I'd say, you know, BCM is just, you know, ridiculous. It's one of the biggest clubs in the world. But you've also got like Boomerang, which is really good, and stuff like that. So that, you know, there's a few nightclubs there, but Magaluf for me, you know, you go to Magaluf if you want to have a good time with your mates. You don't go there for like the best music and the best clubbing scene. That is where you want to go for a nice holiday with your mates, get really drunk, really good price, and yeah, that's what I recommend.
So one track you know will hype up a crowd.
Oh, see, for me, like everywhere is different. Do you know what I mean? Like, I go to some clubs and I think I'm gonna know what they want, but like when I first started out, see, for me, I'd say it's got to have something with lyrics in it that everyone like. For me, like Daft Punk, One More Time, or like Lady Hebe Too, like tracks like that are just, if you're doing a set and you just throw a big throwback like that in there, and everyone knows the words to it, they'll all start singing it along. So for me, it's like, it's when you throw like the old school housey tracks in there. For me, they always go well.
What's the one track you're throwing down for the girls to get going?
Oh, see, for the girls to get going. Oh, what would I say? There's a remix I've got. It's one at the minute. It's like a Superstar remix. I can't forget my MacBook, but like it's a Superstar remix for me. I can't remember the artist's name now, but it's on my MacBook. But yeah, it's just tracks like that. It's like, you know, songs girls love. They can, you know, a bit more slower, not, you know, not really high BPM. Something they can dance to.
Who's the most famous person you've met?
Oh, right, now this is gonna be mad for you, but the famous person I've ever met is Michael Jordan.
Wow.
Michael fucking Jordan, obviously, yeah, and like it's when so it was I'll tell you the story quickly. I'll make it brief, but so it's when I was working back in one of my first jobs, Oceania, and I think it was like the PGA Golf was on in Cardiff in Wales, and there was all these obviously big stars that come down, like, you know, or Tiger Woods or that were there, but like Michael Jordan was there, and I remember we was working in Oceania, and they were like, right guys, so just so you know, Michael Jordan wants to come to the club tonight, so the VIP is locked off, and I was like, obviously I used to play basketball back in the day when I was like 16 to 19. And I was like, right, he's like my idol. I've got to meet him. Like, please let me VIP the bar. And they were like, right, okay. Yeah, you can. So obviously then, so I was up there. I was nervous as fuck because obviously I used to idolize him. And then he come upstairs. His entourage come up first. And then he just walked straight into the room. They were drinking all night, do you know what I mean, partying. And then it comes at the end of the night. And then his entourage goes to leave. And he comes out. And I'm looking at him. And he goes, shakes my hand. And he's like, oh, what's your name? And I was like, well, funny enough, mate, my name's Jordan. And he was like, oh, and he was like, what do you do? And I said, well, funny enough, mate, I'm actually playing basketball. And he laughed. And he was like, oh, I'll just keep doing what you're doing. Shook my hand and gave me a $500 tip. $500 tip. Like, what? And obviously back when you're that age, I mean, I was like, this is madness. But yeah, for me, and obviously, you know, when I was younger, and obviously I used to idolize him, do you know what I mean? So for me, that was the most famous person I've ever met, and something that will probably never, ever happen again.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this. Do you think Magaluf is kind of dying out? And do you think you've got Ibiza, Napa, Malia, and Marbella, which are the top kind of 4 or 5 to go to now?
Do you know what? Like, I've gone to Magaluf every single year since I was 18. Whether that be for working or now I just go for like, because I've got a holiday company, I go there. So for me, with Magaluf, like, it's just obviously recently had all this law. So all the hotels now have got to be 4-star and above. And all the bars have now had to all have refurbishment. So when you go to Magaluf now, compared to was, you know, it's a lot slicker. Like all the PR staff, like they've all got to wear shirts and trousers. So they're trying to make it a lot more classier. And for me, it's a show that it's a lot more. I'd say Magaluf, it never will. It's just they're trying to change the crowd a bit now. But for me, Magaluf, it'll always be that place you can get a cheap holiday, you can have a cheap night out, and it's just good vibes, you mates.
Is DJing hard?
Yes, I'd say, you know, when you are first getting in there and to try and get your name out there, it is incredibly hard. Like, it was something that, obviously, I didn't estimate how much, I thought it would have been a bit easier, but it's a lot harder than you ever expect. When you get into it, you realize it's a lot harder. So, yeah, it's about, you know, because the amount of graft I've had to put in and miles and clubs I've done for free, just, you know, to then hopefully get that rebooking, which, you know, you do most of the time. But, you know, it's a lot harder. And if you want to do it, I'd just say be prepared to put the hours in, put the graft in, and yeah, roll with the punches.
Yeah, for people who don't know, like it's one of the hardest things because to get a following in DJing is massive. Like, I mean, you've got the following already, so it's a bit easier in that sense. But it's if you're starting off from like 100 followers, it's so hard to get up to 5K or 6K from DJing
Yeah.
unless you've DJed around the world or in certain places of UK that you've got residencies at. Because
Mm.
otherwise, then people aren't gonna know you. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's networking. That's literally it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite drink?
My favorite drink, right? Okay, so right since before lockdown, it was always Jack Daniels and Diet Coke. Do you know what I mean? Always
Yeah,
JD.
I saw Paul say that.
Yeah, mate, JD all the way. But obviously, mate, now I've been in lockdown, mate. I love my red wine. I love my beers because do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't be drinking JD at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, it's you know I love when it's like it's what 23 degrees today. Do you know what I mean? It's like me, like I want to fucking just enjoy that.
Working abroad next year. Tips for working abroad.
Right, so I'd say my tip for working abroad next year would be confidence. Like you've got to go out there, you've got to be confident, you've got to go to, you know, say if you go to a bar and there's 50 different bars, you know, when you go there, don't treat it like a holiday. Don't have a 2-week holiday. You've got to go there straight away. First I've 2 days holiday, say whatever. Then, do you know what I mean? You need to be going up to every single bar and going, can I have a job? Can I have a job? Can I have a job? Because when I first moved, I think I asked about 15 places to give me a job. Got my one trial, got the job, and went from there. So, you know, it's because you think there's loads of people who want to work abroad. So you've got to make sure, you know, you've got the confidence. You know, you're going to speak to everyone and don't get too pissed to start with because if you're walking up and down the strip on those first few nights, bars will notice it. They go, we don't want him working for us. He's a pisshead. So the first few nights, take it easy, pace yourself, but just ask everyone.
I think it's a lot of that. It's a networking thing as well over there.
Yeah.
Do you recommend working in Zante?
See, for me, is I've done a few gigs in Zante, and obviously I wouldn't know completely what's like working there, but from the people I know who've worked there, like they all become like a really tight knit family, and they all said they absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So for me, I think anywhere you want to work abroad, like Napa, you know, Ibiza, Maga, but I'd say if you are going to work anywhere first, I would probably say Zante or Maga. I wouldn't jump straight into Ibiza because, you know, Ibiza is expensive. It's a much bigger place. There's a lot of traveling involved. There's somewhere like Magaluf, Zante, it's all on your doorstep. You've got your Magaluf strip. You've got your, you know, all that. So I think for me, if you want to, it's your first time going to work abroad, go work in Magaluf or Zante or Napa. Don't go straight for Ibiza.
Who do you miss from Magaluf and Ibiza?
Who do I miss most? I'm guessing that's from the show, but from the show, I'd probably say, out of all the guys who've been on my show, Dino, obviously, and Austin, but obviously, you know, I miss all the guys because every single person's different on the show, but, you know, and everyone's got a different character, but obviously the ones who used to be on it, I'd say Dino and Austin are the two people I miss the most.
Do you guys kind of meet up afterwards and always kind of meet and chill together, or is it kind of hard to because you're in different parts of the country, or?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, see, because then with, like, you know, when you watch like Made in Chelsea, Terry, Geordie Shore, they all live in the same area. So it's really easy to meet up. As well with us, like, you know, you've got David who lives up north. You've got Callum who's now living up north. You know, like, I'm living in Wales. Isabel lives by Brighton. Do you know what I mean? So for all of us, we are all spread out all over the place. So we can't just go, oh, mate, we just go around the pub for a pint. Do you know what I mean? So when we do meet up, like, obviously, like, if we're in each other's towns, we meet up straight away. But I think just starting out, like, you know, well, not starting out, but, like, for us, we do not look as close because we can't meet up all the time. But obviously, when we do, we have a right ball.
So I'm gonna ask you this: what does music mean to you? Has it got you through some tough times? Like, what's it kind of mean to you?
Yeah, for me, see, like music, you know, I think it's underrated massively because music brings everyone together. Do you know what I mean? Music, it'll remind you of something, bring back a good memory, it'll put you in a good mood. Like it's just for me, music is such a healer, and I think that's why, you know, if you break up with a girl, you know, you'll have a song to remind you of it. Do you know what I mean? And get you through it and empower you again to be like, yeah, you know what? I don't need her. I can get through this. And like, even if, you know, you hear a song at a festival, like a music will bring back and trigger such a good memory that it'll make you feel, oh my God, I remember this song when this came on. So for me, I think it's like subliminally like a massive healer as well, because it'll just remind you of such good times as well. So I think music for me is something that, you know, I love because, you know, it's also helped me a lot. Do you know what I mean? In tough times, you know. And I think, yeah, music, I think it's just massively underrated.
Would you ever go down the route of radio, or is that not for you?
See, Joe, I would love to do radio, but I think just the hours of like, even though if you had a morning show, you've got to be there every morning and stuff like that. I think for me, it's tough. But obviously, I would love to get one. But I think, you know, it would take a lot of work, and you know, you'd be doing a lot of hours. But I think it would be something amazing. But obviously, I've done like a small stint on Capital Breakfast in South Wales. But yeah, it'd be interesting. But you know, you never know. Like, you never know what can happen.
I'm gonna ask you this: do you think radio is dying out because of like you've got platforms like Apple Music or Spotify? Do you think radio is dying out, or do you think it's always going to be there?
The thing is, I think, you know, if you're in a car, you'll probably listen to the radio. But if you're at home, like if you're in your garden today, you'll be listening to Apple Music or your Spotify. So I think, yeah, radio now it's not as popular as it used to be. I think, you know, Spotify and Apple, I think they are taking over. And I think because with the radio, see, you can't always choose what you're going to play. As with Spotify, you know exactly what's coming on, you know exactly what's, you know what I mean? So I think that's why I think Spotify and Apple, I think, you know, a lot more popular now than radio, I'd say.
Do you recommend rapping?
Do I recommend rapping? Right, okay. If you like very late nights, a lot of hangovers, but a lot of sunshine and partying a lot, I would definitely recommend rapping. But if you can't handle your drink, if you can't handle long hours, then definitely don't do it. But rapping for me, like, it's a hard job. Like, you think, like, people think, you know, you work in like 18, 20-hour days sometimes.
Yeah.
So people think rapping's easy. It ain't easy.
And also, like, the pay isn't like the best, right? It's kind of just minimum, because you kind of you're just working for the club.
Yeah, exactly. When I started out, working in Magaluf, I was on 40 a night on the strip, working like getting people in. Obviously, then went up and up and up and up. Obviously, because I was like kept threatening to leave. So I think if you're good at what you do, you can end up making money there really quickly. But yeah, I think you've got to be able to work hard, or you're not going to make that much money.
Who should I go through to be a rep?
Well, for a rep, obviously, you know, you've got mainly. Well, the thing is, you've everything going on now. You don't know what's going to be happening with like that. So I wouldn't say go and no, but obviously, I've got a workers company. Obviously, we help you get people abroad and stuff like that. But it's more for like bar repping jobs. Like, it's not for like hotel reps. But obviously, my company, we help people get jobs in like bars, dancers, like shop girls, all that. So that's Sunseeker workers if you want to jump on that.
How long did it take you to practice DJing to get to kind of where you are at the moment?
Right. So I would say a good year before I even put myself for a gig, because I would literally, like, I'd wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning and I would be, because I was self-taught. So I was literally just going off YouTube videos or like asking like other DJs I knew, like, oh, like if I need some help, what can I do? A guy called Oliver Bean, he helped me loads. But yeah, and I think for me, it was just practicing at home, just practice, because they say practice makes perfect. So for me, it was like I'd sit in my room like 10 o'clock in the morning till 2. I'd just be practicing, trying new things. So it's just about putting the effort in. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you know, you can't just buy a set of decks and then go, oh, I want to go to a club and DJ. Like, I'd say make sure, because if you know, if it's me as well, if I was to start out going to club gigs and didn't know how to DJ, I would have just completely ruined all my gigs. I'd never got work again. So for me, that's wanted to make sure I was good at what I did before I even tried to go for gigs.
Do you want to jump on an Insta Live like for a DJ set, or?
Well, I've been doing I've done a couple of live sets on Insta Live and stuff like that.
Okay.
I did a Flamenco Fest last weekend or the week before that, which was, you know, my first festival. I was buzzing with that, and I think it had like 200,000 views in total over the whole thing. So yeah, they are fun. Do you know what I mean? And going live on set is good. And I think that's what with Mixcloud now as well. They've started doing a live streaming as well. And I think more now than ever, a lot more DJs are doing live streams at home because they can't go to clubs, and they're keeping people entertained on the weekends and stuff like that. So I think the good thing is with a lot of DJs as well, like they're keeping that clubbing spirit going with the live. That's something that's amazing.
So for anyone, I'm just gonna plug it now. So for anyone tuning in, my live set's tonight, 9 to 11 p.m. So that's old school R&B, hip hop. You're there. Old school R&B, hip hop, bashment, dancehall. Anyone who likes that, yeah. But yeah, if let's say you're doing your own event, what DJs are you putting on the lineup and what artists? Free artists, free DJs.
Oh, free artists, free DJs. See, it'd have to be for me. See, obviously, yeah, Sonny Fodera, Carl Cox, and probably Eric Prydz would be the three I'd have on if I could get MK in there. Artists, bit of an obvious one, but it'd have to be Drake, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? Drake.
Yeah.
Oh, but for me as well, I love Bieber. I love Bieber, and then
You're a Bieber fan.
One Direction, if I could get them back together, it'd have to be them.
You're on the same level as Alfie. Alfie telling me he's playing Starships in Zante.
Yeah.
I asked him. I said, "What's the song you're playing to get the girls going?" Man goes Starships, and I was like, "I haven't even played that song in I don't know how long, but I don't even remember playing that song. I don't even know if I've got it on my playlist."
Yeah, I definitely do not.
What set would you want to get? Like, obviously, a lot of DJs want prime time, but are you good at warming the crowd, or would you like to do like the come down, slow down period?
See, for me, like I think for me, like I like more like, you know, say if a club opens at 9, and then I'd like more like the 11 till 12 slot, like getting them more hyped up and stuff like that. The main act, you know what I mean? So I'd rather be, you know, for now as well. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather be that sort of time. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, I've done some gigs where I've had to DJ at 5 o'clock in the bloody morning, and that was weird as fuck. But doing that, mate, obviously, you know, everywhere's different. Like, it's just, yeah, like, obviously, I'll take what I get. Do you know what I mean? Like, if, you know, every time, like, if I got a set at 2 o'clock in the morning, if I got a set at 12, like, everything is different. Do you know what I mean? So that's why you've always got to be prepared as well. And which is why, as well, I bet you just press play on a pre-recorded set. It's like, well, I couldn't do that because if I'm DJing at a boat party at 2 and then I've got something on at 10, like, it's going to be different scenes. Do you know what I mean? Different vibes. And that's why, you know, that's why people go, oh, you must just do it. Cause you never know what the crowd's like. I can simply go, I think I know exactly what the crowd's going to want, and it can be completely different. So you got to be prepared. So that's why, you know, you can always just, always be thinking up there. Read the crowd as well. That's another tip. Make sure you're observing the crowd. Don't just look at your decks. Look at what they're liking in it.
What was Scotty T like?
Do you know what? Scotty T, he's a mad character. Like, if any of you've met him, you know that he is wild. Like, he is literally 100% 24/7. But, you know, I've done a lot of gigs with him, especially when I do more meet and greets and stuff like that. But he's like a big gentle giant. Do you know what I mean? He's a big kid. He's a lively kid, and he knows how to get a party going. Put it that way. Like, he's a party starter.
How are you on the mic? Are you good at hosting your sets, or would you rather get a host to get on your set?
See, the thing is, like, I don't mind jumping on the mic, but for me, like, I think it all depends. If I'm doing like more like student events, like freshers and stuff like that, then obviously I'll go on the mic a lot more. But like when I'm going to like proper like clubs, but you know, it's purely about the music. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I won't even touch the mic because, do you know what I mean? It's like they don't want to hear me going like just shouting out and stuff like that. So I think it all depends on your venue. But obviously, I ain't scared to get on the mic, especially if I've had a few too many tequilas. I'll be straight fucking mic. But I think it all depends really. If I've had one too many drinks and I love it, but yeah.
Have you got a rider? And what's on if you do, what's your drinks on your rider?
Right, see, for me, because I see some of the riders I've seen people asking for like 5 cheese strings, like purely red skill.
What's a 5 cheese string?
Mate, I'm simple like, oh, and the clubs will be shocked because I'll be like, what do you want? I'm like, just a bottle of JD, bottle of like tequila rosé if you got it, and then like, what else do you want? I'm like, that's it. And then like, well, do you want champagne? I'm like, no fucking way. Like, I don't know. I mean, I could take the piss and be like, yeah, I want this, but for me, it's like I'm only gonna drink what I want to drink and stuff like that. And you know, but even if the club offer to take me for a meal before, sometimes I'll say no because I feel bad because it's like, do you know what I mean? I don't want to feel like I'm taking the piss, but maybe in a few years I'll take the piss. But for now, I'm just, you know, staying humble.
What's been the worst experience for you with a promoter or manager?
Oh, so I'd say the worst experience for me. So I did this gig once in Wales, and I'd obviously he picked me up, you know, because obviously it was only about an hour and a half from my house. So he picked me up, drove me to the gig, and then and it's in the middle of nowhere. The club was quite good, it was in the middle of nowhere. And then the gig finished, and I was like, right, okay, perfect. So the club closed, And I've gone to the general manager. I said, where's the promoter gone? And he was like, oh, he's left. I went, well, how the fuck am I getting home then? So I was with Isabel at the time as well, and obviously me and Irvin, and there was no taxis in the middle of nowhere. We got locked outside the, and then we literally had to wait about an hour and a half for someone to come and get us. But obviously for me, that was more a worrying time because, you know, outside a club, loads of drunken people, like anyone that hates you, do you know what I mean? They're going to come straight for you. And obviously when you got all your DJ equipment as well, you know it ain't cheap. So I had all that on me as well. And I thought all someone's got to do now is just try and rob me, do you know what I mean? I'm down grand of equipment.
Bro, the light's going to lock off in a minute. Do you want to come back on, or are you busy?
Well, I've got a bit of gardening too, but we'll do another one another time. So yeah.
Yeah, no worries, bro. Like, thank you though. Really appreciate that. I appreciate everyone locking in.
Thank you
See
very
you, bro.
much.
Thank you.
I've loved it. Peace.
See you, bro.